It's Friday night, but the D-backs have already seen some fireworks. The Cubs last night scored 14 runs on 14 hits and got 10 walks. So tonight, the D-backs look to lefty Robbie Ray to stem this Cubby tide after an outstanding spring. It's Robbie's 2016 debut, Arizona Diamondbacks baseball on Fox Sports Arizona. Good evening from Chase Field. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume and Bob Brenly along the way. It's the Cubs and the Diamondbacks, the second of a four-game series. And the D-backs looking for something or someone to step up with a big-time performance, Bob, and maybe take some of the pressure off here after a sluggish start. And hopefully that person tonight's Robbie Ray.
You know, we've kind of joked in the past about when your team is struggling, when do you call a team meeting? Well, before your ace pitches. But Mike Butcher called a pitcher's meeting last night before their number 5 starter, Robbie Ray, takes the mound. Of course, it doesn't matter to Robbie. Tonight, he is the ace of the staff. You mentioned he had a great spring. Stuff is much improved. His mental outlook is much improved. And it's going to have to be against this Cubs offense.
There's Mike Butcher in the background. A live picture of Robbie Ray warming up here. An outstanding spring for Robbie. 2-0, a 3.50 ERA in 5 starts. He gave up 15 hits, had 20 strikeouts in 18 innings of work.
Yeah, improved changeup. The fastball has always been there. His slider at times can be a really good weapon for him. But look for a lot of straight changeup against a lot of right-handed hitters in the Cubs lineup tonight.
Offensively for the Diamondbacks, here is the igniter, the leadoff man. It's Jean Segura, who last night became the 8th player in Major League history with a leadoff homer and an inside the park homer in the same game.
He has been everything the Diamondbacks hope for, a guy they can plug into the top of that lineup. He's not going to walk very much, but when you get 2 knocks every ball game, you don't have to walk very much.
And Segura back in the leadoff spot tonight for the Diamondbacks. For Joe Madden Chicago Cubs, Kyle Schwarber suffered a very serious knee injury, 2 complete tears of ligaments in his left knee, a severe ankle injury. He's out for the year, and so Jorge Soler gets the start tonight in left field.
The Cubs like his offensive upside. This is a guy that can hit the ball out of sight. Defensively, he's a little bit of an adventure out there. Look for him to come out of the game late if the Cubs have a lead, and Matt Caesar to replace him in left field.
So Robbie Ray up against the usual suspects for the Cubs. Rizzo, Zobrist, Bryant, they're all in there along with Soler as Segura and Peralta get set to face the Cubs. First pitch coming up on Fox Sports Arizona. Arizona Diamondbacks baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by CenturyLink. Switch to CenturyLink Prism TV for an advanced TV experience. Learn more at cprismtv.com. By Jack in the Box and the Jumbo Jack, a home run for your mouth. And by your Valley Honda dealers, where you get more standard features for less money. Baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. By Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. By Papa Murphy. Love at 425 degrees. And by Cox Gigablast. How will you live the gig life? Chase Field, Robbie Ray set for his 2016 debut. He's up against the Cubs' Jason Hammel. Diamondbacks looking for a win here after a sluggish start to the season. Can Robbie Ray turn it around? First pitch is next. Chase Field in downtown Phoenix. Some weather outside, so we are all buttoned up here inside. Is it Robbie Ray to the rescue? We'll find out as he makes his 2016 debut. Cubs and D-backs, second of a 4-game set. Joe Maddon's Chicago Cubbies have scored 29 runs through their first 3 games. In fact, they have outscored their opponents by 22 runs so far this year. Last night, Bob, 14 runs, 14 hits. The 10 walks helped a lot, too.
Well, we knew they were capable of putting up numbers like that based on what we saw last season and in spring training this year. There's how Joe Maddon's going to line them up tonight. Dexter Fowler once again atop the order. He'll be out in center field. Jason Hayward out in right. Ben Zobrist at second base. Anthony Rizzo with a big night. 6 RBI last night. He'll be at first base again. Kris Bryant over at third. Jorge Soler filling in for Kyle Schwarber in left field. Addison Russell at shortstop. David Ross, the 13-year veteran, doing the catching for right-hander Jason Hammel.
And on the mound for the Diamondbacks, your Arizona Ford starting pitcher, 24-year-old left-hander Robbie Ray. Excited to be on a big league opening day roster for the first time in his career, and he says he has ready to get going, get out there and show everybody what he's got. His numbers here from last year.
You know, kind of similar to Shelby Miller in a way. The 1-loss record doesn't really indicate how well Robbie threw the ball most of the season last year. If you recall, Diamondbacks fans, walks and foul balls were his bugaboo last year. Really ran up some high pitch counts early in the ball game.
Dexter Fowler, the leadoff man, and what a job he's done in that role this year. Steps in. The crew chief Gary Cederstrom is our plate umpire. We are underway in downtown Phoenix. And there's a strike, 0-1. Fowler as effective a leadoff hitter as you can have to this point. He's scored 7 runs in 3 games.
Fowler has 12 leadoff home runs over the last 4 seasons. However, as we mentioned last night, most of his power is from the left side of the plate. As a matter of fact, in his career, 52 of his 66 home runs have come as a left-handed hitter.
Robbie Ray working very quickly here. Well, he threw strike one. Now it's 3 balls and a strike. Fowler 7 hits in 12 at bats this year, including a double, a triple, and a home run. He's also walked 3 times. And he drives that one to left center, a base hit. Let's take a look at the Diamondbacks around Robbie Ray. Our Eye on Defense brought to you by Nationwide Vision Centers.
Outfield tonight will be Yasmani Tomas in left. Socrates Brito getting a start in center with David Peralta over in right field. Jake Lamb, Nick Ahmed on the left side. Gene Segura, Paul Goldschmidt on the right side with Wellington Castillo behind the plate for left-hander Robbie Ray.
And here is the left-hand hitting Jason Heyward. 3 hits in 13 at bats to begin his Cubs career. And again, Robbie throws strike one. Heyward on base 4 times last night, 2 singles, 2 walks. He also scored twice and stole a base. Oh, 0-2. Robbie Ray said this week he definitely got better over last season and through the spring. His confidence is up. He's more comfortable out there on the mound. The mound presence much better. A much more well-rounded pitcher this year than he was last year, he says. Missed inside there, and it's 1-2.
Another added advantage this season is the white shoes. I think that kind of distracting to a hitter depending on your leg kick as a pitcher out there on the mound. Get them looking at those white shoes. They might not pick up the white baseball.
It's like the first day of school out there. Good throw over, and it's close, but Fowler's back in time, says Eric Cooper.
I'm still a believer that you save that move. Show him the slow leg kick pick-off move to first base. Maybe show him another slow leg kick pick-off to first, and then snap that throw over there.
A ball and 2 strikes on Jason Heyward. Got him. That's going to be the key this year, not just tonight for Robbie Ray. He has been primarily a fastball pitcher. Can the slider, the curveball, and perhaps most importantly the changeup be a difference maker for him?
And speaking of keys, let's take a look at our Valley Honda key. One key to the ball game tonight for Robbie Ray: don't be so accommodating. Robbie had issues with the base on balls last year, and we saw what happened with 10 walks last night, what this Cubs offense can do with free base runners. So we don't want that, and we don't want him putting the foul balls up in the stands to the fans.
Want to have him put hitters away rather than extend at bats and drive pitch counts up, which was Robbie's #1 issue all of last year. Then ZOBRIST, the switch hitter. 5 hits and 12 at bats to open up his first season with the Cubs. He's also walked 3 times, and all 3 walks came last night. He was on base 4 times. ZOBRIST up there, BB's stirring that cake batter.
Yeah.
It's like he's making cookies up there.
And we talked about it last night. It's highly unusual for a switch hitter to be nearly identical from both sides of the plate, but ZOBRIST, it looks like a mirror image of his left-handed approach. Gets those hands back there and mixing up the cake batter.
In his career, he is a better hitter from the right-hand side, 290 or so. Right-handed. Lamb, Segura. Hey, roll it! Robbie Ray gets the strikeout and the ground ball to get out of the inning. A good start for the Diamondbacks. Jake Lamb, Gene Segura, Paul Goldschmidt, Diamondbacks coming up. About set to go. Gene Segura, Socrates, Brito. It's not easy to relax against this Cubs lineup, but that's what Chip Hale said, Bob. He wants his team to do. He needs his guys just to breathe.
Well, it's a little bit tough, you know, when you come out of the Cactus League and you've had so much success and guys have done well. You get into the regular season and struggle a little bit initially, and it's not unusual to get a little bit tight, but he wants them to loosen up. Gene Segura leading it off at second base, Socrates, Brito in center. Goldie down at first base, David Peralta out in right field, Wellington Castillo doing the catching. Jake Lamb at third base, Yasmani Tomas in left, Robbie Ray hitting eighth, and Nick Ahmed in that 9 spot.
And here is Segura. Jason Hamill throws strike one. Segura has had 2 hits in every game this year, 8 for 18, including 3 home runs. And he's up against your Arizona Ford starter for the Cubs, Jason Hamill, the veteran right-hander, beginning his 11th season in the big leagues. Last year, career highs. Drives this to center. Fowler will take a look and play it off the wall. That's a double for Segura, who just continues to hit. He just missed another home run. That was well over the head of Dexter Fowler in center.
To the, well, nearly the deepest part of the ballpark out there in straightaway center field. That's a dimension that Gene Segura showed last night, and once again tonight, flexing his muscles.
Ooh, I might have to check this one. Hold on.
I think it has to clear the yellow stripe out there in center field to be considered a home run.
No one signaling a challenge or a delay from the Diamondback dugout, so Socrates Brito steps in.
One of the things the guys can do to lighten up and loosen up a little bit is play the game fundamentally sound. Right now, Socrates Brito's job is to find a way to move Gene Segura to third base and set it up for Goldie and David Peralta.
Try and hit something to the right-hand side.
Ideally, a base hit to the right-hand side.
That'll play. Then he hits it with a broken bat to the left-hand side. Tough play for Russell, and Brito, who can fly up that line, beats it out. Well, he wasn't able to move Segura along, but Brito's aboard.
Actually, Segura probably could have advanced on this ball. You see Kris Bryant moves to his left, Addison Russell moves to his right. Had Segura broken right away, he could have run right past the Cubs infielders to third base, but he didn't know that at the time. Socrates Brito showing that speed down the first baseline, gets himself an infield hit.
His second hit this season, so Segura's at second, Brito's at first, nobody out for Goldie. Nobody home at second.
Pitchers will do that occasionally when they don't like the sign that they agreed to. They come up to the set position and, well, just fake a pickoff, and then we'll go back through the signs again.
The veteran David Ross back there. That's in there for a strike.
I asked David Ross a couple of years ago, what would you rather have, $1 million for every finger, or rather a nickel for every finger you've hung down, or $1 million? And he said, I'd have to think about that. I mean, you know, he's going through these signs here. He's going through 5 or 6 different signs. A nickel for each one, or $1 million.
He's still thinking about it, it looks like.
I mentioned 13-year career, and this is a guy that doesn't hit much. Strong defensive catcher, and by all accounts a great teammate. If you last 13 years in the big leagues and don't hit much, there's something there. David Ross always seems to find himself on a winner.
0-1 to Goldie. Well, Hamill and Kyle Schwarber had developed a very nice relationship and a partnership as a battery pitcher and catcher. Schwarber, who's out for the year now after that gruesome injury here last night, obviously not back there, so Ross is back there working with Hamill. Strike 2. Goldie 3 for 13 on the year, a triple and a home run. He's knocked in 4. That looked like, wow, about 30 cents there somewhere. 5 times what is what? High fly ball, left center field. Fowler's got a beat on it. Segura will tag and head for third. Brito holds it first. Let's take a look at the Cubs defensively. Our eye on defense is brought to you by Nationwide Vision Centers.
We mentioned the change in left field with Jorge Soler taking over. Dexter Fowler once again in center. Jason Hayward in his gold glove out in right field. Kris Bryant and Addison Russell at third and short. Ben Zobrist and Anthony Rizzo at second and first. David Ross behind the plate for right-hander Jason Hammel.
So they're on the corners with 1 down for Peralta, who's got 8 hits and 17 at bats to start the year. 4 of those hits for extra bases. Segura is at third and Brito at first. David last night on base 4 times. He hit 2 doubles, had an RBI triple. He also walked and scored twice.
And everything David has hit this year has been right on the nose. Hard line drives.
First, and Socrates is back in time.
Might not be the last time you see that tonight. David Ross loves to throw to the bases, especially when his pitcher's in a little bit of trouble. Brito with good reaction gets back on his belly ahead of the throw.
Is there an axiom or a rule about throwing behind the hitter like that if you're the catcher? Does that matter at all?
Not at all. Some guys are tall enough to just stand up and throw over that left-handed hitter.
Brito takes off and Peralta fouls it away.
Actually, you can use that left-handed batter as a little bit of a decoy, kind of hide behind him and snap that throw down to first base, and sometimes you can catch that runner unaware.
What's he got going there?
I don't know.
The Joe Madden deal?
That's very, very common in the collegiate game and the high school game, but I haven't seen many big leaguers.
Brito holds this time. Double play ball here. Russell, Zobrist, and Rizzo. They roll it. And the Diamondbacks first 2 reach, but they cannot get a run across. And after 1, there's no score. The Cubs and the D-backs from here at Chase Field.
As we head to the second, I'm Kate Longworth. Well, Robbie Ray had a singular goal this spring, and that was to lower his pitch count. So he's been pounding the strike zone the past couple months, but perhaps the greater shift came not to his mechanics, but rather his mentality. Ray told me he has found a greater appreciation for a 2-pitch ground out and how it can be a game changer and his plan out there rather than always focusing on that strikeout as an end-all be-all.
They're looking, Mike Butcher, the pitching coach, for quick outs and pitch efficiency from Robbie Ray as Anthony Rizzo leads off the Cubs second, and the shift is on for the Diamondbacks. Nick Ahmed all by himself on the left-hand side.
Now, we've talked a lot this spring about Jake Lamb and the adjustment he made with his hands and his setup from that left-handed batter's box, dropping him down closer to the hitting slot. Well, Anthony Rizzo has done the same thing. His swing has evolved over the years, but he's found something comfortable. He has those hands down there about waist level, toes right on the inside line of the batter's box. Hard to argue with the result.
Second strikeout for Robbie Ray. Good start here in the second.
Rizzo choked up on the bat right on top the plate, chases that slider out of the zone. That's one thing Joe Maddon was pleased with his ball club offensively, that they're not chasing out of the zone. Hopefully Robbie will be able to get him to chase some pitches out of the zone tonight.
Well, they drew 10 walks last night. Kris Bryant, the third baseman, had a 3-hit game last night, 2 singles and a double. Boy, Robbie's fire and strike one in there. Bryant 3 for 13 on the year. Last season's National League Rookie of the Year. Now the Diamondbacks overload the left-hand side of the infield. Look at Segura, the second baseman, playing on the shortstop side of the bag. Matt Williams responsible for positioning the infield defense. High fly ball, center field. Socrates Brito at the wall, and he's got it. Ballpark just big enough for Robbie Ray there.
Once again, a lot of Cub fans here at Chase Field tonight, and I think they thought he got one right there. Made that noise off his bat. High fly ball to center. Robbie wishing it stays in the ballpark, and it does. Whew.
Yeah, I don't think Robbie wanted that one to catch as much plate as it did.
The Diamondbacks have been trying to pound Bryant inside, take some of the sting out of that bat.
Jorge Soler.
I'm surprised it took him that long to swing.
He's got 3 strikeouts and 9 at bats this year, and getting the start tonight in place of the injured Kyle Schwarber, who is out for the season now, we're sorry to say. 2 full ligament tears in that left knee and a severely sprained left ankle after his collision with Dexter Fowler.
Well, basically, that's like a hand grenade going off in your left knee. Oh.
1-1. Sky high, shallow left center. They got this thing surrounded. Nick Ahmed is there. A 1-2-3 second for Robbie Ray, who's retired 5 in a row. No score at Chase Field.
Second inning with these two offenses hooking up tonight. We want to get this one in early. A D-backs home run tonight means a free Jumbo Jack tomorrow at participating Jack in the Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
Well, all Wellington Castillo did all spring long was hit Jumbo Jacks, and he'll lead off the second against the Cubs' Jason Hamill. No score here. Cubs and Diamondbacks from downtown Phoenix. Roof and panels closed. Got some weather outside. We need the rain. 67 days in a row or something without rain. It was raining last night on the drive home.
Diamondbacks have 6 home runs on the season, which ties them with Trevor Story,
who hit 2 more today.
Oh, man.
D-backs fans, the Rockies rookie shortstop in their home opener against Andy Green's Padres. Club not 1 but 2 more home runs. He's now got 6 on the year.
Wow. And about a fast start.
I don't know which was the bigger story, Trevor Story hitting 2 home runs or the Padres scoring a run of any kind. And they did. They finally got some runs for Andy Green and beat Colorado at Coors Field 13-6. Oh, how about that? They go 0 for 3. They don't score a run for 3 games, and then they go to Colorado and score 13.
A lot of teams do that.
Yeah, that's true. 2 balls and a strike. Wellington last night 0 for 4. Jason Hamill, while he throws more than 50% fastballs, doesn't get a ton of sink with his 2-seamer. He will rely heavily on that slider. And last season he threw it about 35% of the time, so you'll see it a lot.
There's another one.
Gets Castillo to open up the second, his first strikeout.
He has a full 4-pitch arsenal. He just relies mostly on that slider fastball combination. He does have a curve. He does have a changeup. Doesn't use them very often. And he's got that slider working on that outside edge of the plate to the righties. He can be tough.
He will also throw a big biting curveball that'll miss some bats for him, but that's pretty much the arsenal right there. Jake Lamb. Jake, a pair of hits last night. He singled twice, drove in 3 runs. In the air, right center field. Fowler and Hayward. Dexter Fowler's underneath. 4 in a row set down by Hamill, and now it's time for Yasmani Tomas. Tomas 3 hits in his first 11 at bats, including 2 doubles. He's knocked in 3 runs. Last night 0 for 4. He struck out twice. And is in no rush to get in there. He's usually in a hurry to swing, but he's taken his time getting into the box.
And given the fact that Yasmani's a notorious first ball swinger, you're going to start him with something out of the strike zone away or that slider. Fastball up.
Quickly down 0-2. Strikes out on 3 pitches. Second strikeout for Hamill. He set down 5 in a row. No score after 2. No score here, Cubs and D-backs as we start the third. Fans, customize your own ticket package with a D-backs mini plan. You can choose from big games, maybe the Yankees series in May. Pick your bobblehead nights, holidays, any combination you want. Design your own Diamondbacks mini plan right now at dbacks.com. Robbie Ray and Jason Hamill. Goose eggs up there so far. Addison Russell, David Ross, and Hamill 7, 8, 9. In the Cub third against Robbie Ray, who's retired the last 5 he's faced. Russell, a pair of hits on the season, both coming last night. A 2-run single and a double. He also walked and scored twice. Robbie has thrown strike one all night long.
This might be the understatement of the early season, but that is so vitally important. It really just sets up the entire at bat, allows you to use your entire arsenal, puts the hitter immediately on the defensive. Strike one.
Well, Robbie said during spring training he feels very comfortable with where he is at right now, getting swings and misses with that changeup and the slider, and working on getting quicker outs and becoming more efficient out there. That's what Kate was talking about earlier. No more 7, 8, 9 pitch at bats. Last season, second among National League rookies in ERA, fourth in starts, innings pitched, and strikeouts. And making his 2016 debut here tonight. He's gone full on Addison Russell, 3-2. The catcher David Ross on deck. Robbie Ray said this spring if he learned anything last year, it's that he belongs here. Courage, as they say, is having done it before, and after last season, Robbie knows he belongs at this level and he can compete here. He loses Russell, a leadoff walk.
Mentioned David Ross in his 13th year in the big leagues. He played with just about everybody, but Diamondbacks fans will remember him as a Dodger back in the 02 season. Dodgers were beating the Diamondbacks 18-0. David Ross takes Mark Grace deep to the Friday's Front Row Sports Grill. Gracie giving it to him all the way around the bases.
And Gracie has always said he wants David Ross to enter the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, so he can say he gave up that home run ball to a Hall of Famer.
David Ross, 4 years in Atlanta, 3 years in LA with the Dodgers, 3 years in Cincinnati, 3 years in Boston. This is his second year here with the Cubs. He had 1 year in San Diego and 1 year in Pittsburgh.
His 15th major league season. He earned a World Series ring with John Lester and the Red Sox 3 years ago. Cubs are his 7th different team. But you said it all, in all that time, all those years in the big leagues, he's played in more than 100 games only 1 time. So he is the ultimate backup catcher.
Lifetime .229 hitter coming into this season. As I mentioned before, his value goes far beyond what he brings on the field. Great handler of pitchers, came over with John Lester, as you mentioned, as his valet catcher, but really benefits the entire pitching staff.
And it's benefited the Diamondbacks because when they acquired Montero and they acquired Ross after signing Lester, that made Wellington Castillo expendable for Chicago.
Funny how things work out.
They picked up the $40 million on Miggy and brought in David Ross. There's that quick move again from Robbie. You can see the pattern on Robbie Ray's cap right there. That new sort of mesh diamond pattern that is on the hats. They had the red version last night and the black version with the teal here tonight as part of the evolution. 2 balls and a strike.
Quick step-off move that Robbie Ray features out there. I played with and coached one of the best ever. Terry Mulholland had an unbelievably quick step-off move for a left-handed pitcher.
Speaking of guys that played forever.
Yeah. I was coaching first base for the Giants. We had an outfielder by the name of KRIS James, brother of Craig James, the football player. And he got on base one time against the Phillies. Terry Mulholland was pitching, and he started to take his lead off first base. And I said, watch the quick move. And KRIS James turned his head and looked at me and said, what? And in the meantime, Terry Mulholland picked him off first base.
Hey, your shoelace is untied. Well, here we go, BB. This is exactly what we were talking about. Robbie Ray had settled in nicely. A 1-2-3 second inning. He had retired 5 in a row. And suddenly, out of nowhere, Mike Butcher has watched him walk the first 2 guys here in the third, the 7 and 8 hitters.
Well, the key is right now righting the ship. We saw Zach Greinke have 1 bad inning opening day. We saw Shelby Miller have 1 bad inning game 2. Don't let it get away from you. It happened to Joe Kelly, the Boston Red Sox, tonight against the Toronto Blue Jays, holding a 1-0 lead in the, or rather a 2-1 lead in the 4th inning. Gave up 4 consecutive singles, hit a batter, and then gave up a grand slam to Josh Donaldson. It happens.
Don't want to start nibbling here with some of these guys. Certainly not in the bottom of the order. So here's the pitcher, Hamill, now. 2 on and no out. You see Goldie creeping in from first. Bunt goes right to him. Russell, and they got the lead man. Goldie came charging in. Hamill bunted it right to him. And that's the first out here in the third.
We talked a little bit about it last night, the wheel play and the fake wheel play. And I think the fake wheel play here forced Hamill to bunt the ball to the right side of the field where Goldie was charging hard. Nicely done. You saw Nick start to break toward third base. Hamill thought maybe the wheel play was on, and Nick, or rather Jake Lamb, charging from third base, so he tried to bunt it to the right side, right into the Diamondbacks' hands.
So now it's Ross, the catcher, at second, Hamill, the pitcher, at first, and here's the leadoff hitter, Dexter Fowler, who singled his first time up. Fowler red hot right now. 8 hits and 13 at bats to start the year. He was a .326 hitter from the right hand side last season. That's in there for a strike, and it's 1-1. Fowler is a natural right hand hitter. In fact, coming up as a young player, he only hit from the right hand side. And once he became a professional, they started him switch hitting.
Power from the left side, the higher average from the right side. Well, not much speed on the bases, but David Ross out there at second base and the pitcher Jason Hamill at first. It's going to take a very well placed base hit to score David Ross from second base.
But this is the kind of labor intensive inning that Robbie Ray is hoping to avoid this year. .37 pitches, 20 for strikes, 2-1 on Fowler. He's already walked 2. Now it's 3-1 on Dexter Fowler. You can see the workload here in the third. His third walk in this third inning, and the Cubs have the bases loaded with 1 out, and that look says it all.
Well, we talked about it all season long last year, and the same thing holds true this season. You would think a pitcher would just step off the back of the mound and take a look around at the defenders you have behind you. You want these guys to put the ball in play. You can't defend that base on balls.
And now you've got the heads of state of the Cubs order coming up. It's Jason Heyward. Struck out his first time up against Robbie Ray. Robbie right now at 40 pitches, half balls, half strikes. Two and 0.
You see Wellington Castillo behind the plate. He keeps putting his right arm up and extending out in front of his body. He wants Robbie to finish his pitches.
Just cannot find the strike zone right now. There's the strike. 3-1. Heyward, a big spring. He led the Cubs with 14 RBIs. Bases loaded. 3-2 pitch. Walked in. 1-0 Chicago. He has walked 4 in the inning. After Diamondbacks pitchers walked 10 last night.
Second baseman, then ZOBRIST.
Six pitches, all fastballs. Could only find the strike zone with 1. Jason Heyward did him a favor by chasing a high fastball in the 3-1 pitch, but then down low out of the zone for ball 4.
Then ZOBRIST, the number 3 hitter, steps in. Jason Hamill, the pitcher, is at third. Dexter Fowler at second. Jason Heyward at first. ZOBRIST hit into a double play to end the first. There's strike 1. It's amazing. I mean, Robbie threw strike 1 to every batter he faced in that second inning. Diamondback bullpen is busy. Matt Bushman, a decade in the minor leagues, warming up in the Sanderson Ford bullpen for the Diamondbacks. Maybe about to make his major league debut. Just called up today. Diamondbacks are running through bullpen arms 4 games into the season. Segura They get one. There's nobody home at first. Hamel scores, 2-0 Cubs.
Watch Goldie ranging far off first base, and Robbie Ray caught spectating on the mound. I don't think they would have been able to turn the double play anyway, so Nick Ahmed does the next best thing. Fake the throw to first and pick up the runner at third. See if perhaps he rounded the base too far. No dice that time.
The danger with Anthony Rizzo. He struck out his first time up. Fielder's choice 4-6 put out. The RBI for Zobrist has made it 2-0. Rizzo 5 hits and 12 at bats to begin the year. 2 homers. He leads the major leagues with 9 RBIs. He drove in 6 last night. That tied a career high. A little flare. Peralta. And the third inning ends, but Robbie Ray walks 4. Cubs get 2.
Getting a base hit in that top half of the third inning. Hey, Diamondbacks fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
And Robbie Ray will lead off the Diamondback third against Jason Hamel, who's now got a 2-0 lead. Ray Ahmed Segura 8-9-1 for the D-backs. Jason Hamel working at a pretty steady pace here.
He's got 2 speeds to his windup. He's very quick at the beginning, and then he gets in the middle and kind of slows everything down. But you're right, he is working very quickly between pitches.
Well, one of baseball's longtime pitching gurus, pitchers who may feel lost in the wilderness seek out, is Tom House. He worked with Randy Johnson, and in December, Jason Hamel was one of those guys. He met with Tom House, and they sort of tweaked a whole bunch of things with his delivery as he strikes out Robbie Ray. And House told him, I don't know how you pitch this long because there's so much more in there, untapped potential, and it's the simplest fix. Hamill said the meeting was an eye-opener, but they reworked his mechanics, mostly trying to get him to use his legs more and take some of the burden off the arm and the shoulder. A better hip rotation was a big key for him. And he says the work he put in this winter and this spring has definitely translated.
He really had 2 seasons last year. As far as his ERA goes, he was 5-4 in the first half, 5-3 in the second half, but his ERA in the first half was .286. It was 5.10 after the break. And he thought the part of the problem was he was flying open too quickly, so he's trying to keep that left shoulder closed a little bit longer.
Kris Bryant throws out Nick Ahmed.
And you especially see it when he's pitching out of the stretch. As he sets up into his stretch position, that left shoulder will be closed toward home plate. Just trying to hide the ball a little better, trying to keep square to home plate when he releases the ball, not let that front side fly open.
Jean Segura, who led off the ball game for the Diamondbacks with a double that hit basically on the yellow line over Dexter Fowler's head in center field. Just missed what would have been his 4th home run. Hamill's got 3 strikeouts. He can be a strikeout guy. Last season, a career best strikeout rate, in fact. Had more strikeouts than innings pitched. 172 strikeouts last year, the highest total of his career. Two and two. Jean Segura last night hit John Lackey's first pitch of the ball game out to right field for a home run, and the inside the park homer into the gap in left center. He's already got 1 double tonight in his first AB. Reaches down and hits it out to right. But Hayward is there with 3 Gold Gloves, and he ends the inning as Hamill has now retired the last 8 Diamondbacks he's faced. Jason Hayward comes sliding in and takes a base hit away from Jean Segura. Diamondbacks trail the Cubs 2-0. Cubs 2-0. Fans, this week only, T-Mobile customers can get a free season-long subscription to MLB.TV Premium. Just go to T-Mobile.com/MLB. Sign up now, and you'll be able to catch every moment on America's fastest-growing LTE network. Kris Bryant right to Jake Lamb. 1 pitch, 1 out. In the fourth, that's a little more efficient for Robbie Ray.
That's about as efficient as you can get right there. Coming into this inning, he'd thrown 25 strikes, 25 balls, but it's kind of unusual the way they break down. Threw 5 balls in the first, 2 in the second, 18 in the third.
He walked 4 in that third. Cubs still have only 1 hit. That was Dexter Fowler's single to lead off the ball game. Here's Jorge Soler. Goldie plays a step or 2 in on the grass at first base. About halfway between first and second for Soler.
To ask him about that. I'm not sure why Soler is not known to bunt.
Yeah, he was in a moment ago, about 3 steps closer than he is right now. There's Matt Williams.
Wellington keeps reminding Robbie Ray, get on top of the ball and get out in front. Finish the pitch. Finish the pitch.
Center field. Soler has a base hit. A 1-out single, just the second hit for Chicago.
Fastball away. Soler just covers a lot of plate that time. That ball might have been an inch or so off the outside corner, but barrels it up into center field for a 1-out base hit.
Addison Russell led off the third with a walk.
With this Cubs offense, Joe Maddon doesn't play a lot of games, doesn't like to hit and run a lot, doesn't like to bunt, but this is the part of the lineup where he might think about it. Addison Russell handles the bat pretty well. Got the number 8 hitter in the on deck circle. Try to make something happen before you get to that pitcher spot.
Yeah, Maddon with Russell playing last season at the age of 21. Fit him nicely into that 9th spot in the batting order, usually hitting his pitcher 8th. But Russell, who hit 6 home runs this spring to lead the Cubs, has got that power, and now he's just slowly creeping up closer to the middle of the order. He's hitting 7th tonight. Doesn't seem like batting him 9th will be a realistic option for the rest of his career.
I think he's going to find his way up into that top 3 at some point.
Last year, 242, 13 home runs. There's that power fastball from Robbie Ray. 2-2.
And the power swing from Addison Russell. Blew that fastball right by him up in the zone.
Little attitude out there on Robbie's part might not be a bad thing. He throws hard. Tried it again but missed, and it's a full count. 3-2.
Swings at it once, maybe he'll swing at it again. Right back to that high fastball, this time out over the plate.
Three and two. Jorge Soler at first. Well, he walked 4 in the third. Now he's hit a batter in the fourth.
David Ross.
He just tried to overthrow that fastball. He popped a couple in there in the low 90s. Blew one right by Addison Russell. Tried to put a little extra on that one. His mechanics came apart and he jerked it inside and ended up hitting the Cubs shortstop.
David Ross walked and scored in his first plate appearance. A guy who is known in the Cubs clubhouse as Grandpa at the age of 39. It's meant with love.
That's a compliment. Yeah.
Jorge Soler at second. Addison Russell at first. 1 out.
Well, the funny thing about the David Ross home run against Mark Grace back in '02 that we showed you a little bit earlier, and I talked about this last year, Dodgers were beating the living daylights out of us, and they were having some fun over in that first base dugout. And when Gracie came in to finish the ball game, all the momentum shifted over to our side of the field. Now, of course, we didn't come back and win the ball game, but the Dodgers went home mad, and we went home laughing.
So you turn the tables on them.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, that wasn't our intention. We just wanted to get through the ball game without using any more relief pitchers. Gracie said he had never pitched before in his life at any level. Well, then take the ball and go out there.
And his performance backed that up.
Yes.
He gave up the home run.
Yes, indeed. Now we know why he never pitched
right.
at any level.
Scouting reporter was correct. He should not pitch at any time. 2-1. These pitches are not in bad spots. Gary Cederstrom, the plate umpire, the crew chief back there tonight. 2 balls and 1 strike. Mike Fetters charting the pitches, controlling quality.
Of course, Gracie was doing his Mike Fetters impersonation as he went into the stretch position and looked out toward right field and then snapped his head toward home plate like Fett used to do.
He sort of had that mad Hungarian Al Roboski thing going there, Mike Fetters, during his career. Exactly 100 saves in the big leagues. 2-2 pitch. Well, it's a full count, 3-2. He's already walked Ross once. He has scored one of the 2 Cub runs. Hamill, the pitcher, on deck. Center field for Brito. Socrates is there. Soler wandered way off the second base pad, but he's back in time, and that's the second out for Robbie.
Good read by Socrates Brito out there in center field. That ball hit right at you on a line is always the toughest. He froze in his tracks momentarily, came in a couple steps, made the catch.
So now 2 down for the pitcher Jason Hamill. Robbie Ray right now at 67 pitches and more balls than strikes. He has walked 4 and hit a batter. Peralta, right field. Segura drifting out. Gene Segura's got it. And Robbie Ray strands 2. What's next? Brought to you by CenturyLink. Brito, Goldschmidt, Peralta, 2, 3, and 4 in the Diamondback 4. Nothing set for the home half of the fourth, and fans, it's time to take a look back in history. We set the Wayback Machine, presented by Geico, to this Geico legacy moment, and there it goes off Al Downing. Henry Aaron, 715 home runs. He would hit 755 in his great Hall of Fame career. That one was the record breaker. After the game was over, he said, "Thank God it's over."
Oh, I can only imagine the pressure he was under. And of course, the story's been told many times, got death threats and all kinds of stuff. But boy, what a classy gentleman.
Jason Hamill has retired the last 8 Arizona hitters he's faced, and Socrates Brito leads off the fourth. Socrates singled his first time up. He's out there in center field, and Tony La Russa, the D-backs chief baseball officer, was asked this week about the center field situation as it currently stands, and Tony said he believes the Diamondbacks are good with what they've got right now. He said they've got Chris Owings, they've got Socrates Brito, they've even got some help coming in the minor leagues. Guys like youngster Evan Marzilli, maybe the veteran Jason Bourgeois. And he said, look, any front office worth its salt evaluates whether there's a player out there that would fit your team, meaning somebody in another organization. But he feels like there's absolutely no urgency to worry about the center field position right now.
I would tend to agree with him. What we've seen from Brito at the end of the season last year and spring training this year, and what we've seen of Chris Owings in center field, it seems to be in pretty good hands defensively.
Of course, A.J. Pollock out with that elbow procedure. The surgery on Tuesday went very well. A.J. due to get checked out tomorrow by Dr. Sheridan, who is supposed to have an update for everybody tomorrow afternoon sometime. So we'll have news on A.J. Pollock, we hope, tomorrow. Try to get some kind of idea, ballpark, about when he might be back. But in the meantime, it's Owings and Brito out there. Whoa, firewood all over the field. Pick me out a winner, Bobby.
He cued that one right off the end of that cupped bat, and anytime you hit it out toward the end, it just splits right down the barrel. 2 or 3 pieces went fluttering out onto the infield.
Good crowd here tonight at Chase Field. Roof and panels closed with some weather outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes as Brito leads off the fourth. And he got him. That's the 4th strikeout for Hamill, who's now set down 9 straight.
Socrates just could not hold up there. Notable in that at bat, Jason Hamill started to mix in some slow curveballs this time. Second time through the Diamondbacks order. He might start to add some other pitches in his repertoire. He's still going to rely heavily on the slider fastball combo, but a couple of slow curves that time to Socrates Brito.
Goldie 3 for 14 to start the year, flying to center his first time up. Goldie was on base twice last night. He walked, singled, and scored a pair of runs. He is a career .370 hitter against the Cubs. Little buckle that time from Goldie.
Hanging changeup, 83 mile an hour up there above the belt. Hamill's just glad he didn't swing at it.
24 RBIs in 25 games against these Cubbies. Ball and 2 strikes. That's 5 strikeouts.
Occasionally a guy that has a reputation for throwing a lot of breaking pitches can sneak a 90 mile an hour fastball by a good hitter. That time Goldie just a little tardy.
David Peralta grounded into a double play to end the first. Tonight's Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean, Crisp Coors Light. How about this, David ranking among major league outfielders?
Another slow curveball. That's something the Cardinals pitching staff used to be notorious for under Dave Duncan. They'd start the game using only 2 of their pitches, and then the second time through the lineup you'd see another pitch added. Third time through the lineup you might see everything the pitcher had by that point. And it just seemed like it was never the same. You might face Chris Carpenter and he'd throw you all fastballs in the first inning, all sliders in the second inning, and gradually mix everything together as he got through the lineup the second, third time.
Hamill came up with Tampa Bay and pitched on that Rays 08 team that went to the World Series under Joe Madden. Reunited with Madden here in Chicago. 3-1 pitch. Ball 4. First walk issued by Jason Hamill. That snaps a stretch of 10 straight that he'd retired. And a 2-out base runner now for the former Cub Wellington Castillo.
A little bit of shock on the face of Jason Hamill there. He thought he had that pitch in the strike zone. Last year he faced 86 consecutive batters without issuing a walk across 4 starts.
The big thing with Hamill, Joe Madden says, is fastball command. If he's commanding that fastball, he'll have a great night. Castillo struck out his first time up. Well, he had that monster spring. Everything he hit was a double or a home run, but so far 2 for 14 to start the year with 2 singles. Now Hamill having trouble finding the strike zone, behind on Castillo 2-0. Well, he was a slugging machine this spring. His first 10 Cactus League hits went for extra bases before he singled. And that was kind of the same guy we saw last year when he arrived in Arizona from Seattle and Chicago. Hamill had retired 10 straight. 2 strikeouts. He got Brito, he got Goldie to open up this inning, but he walked Peralta with 2 outs. Now behind on Castillo, 3-0.
Threw a 2-0 slider right there, which tells you the confidence he has in that pitch to throw it behind in the count to a guy that's a really good fastball hitter. Throw the slider instead. That time he left it up high.
It'll be at least a 20-pitch inning for Jason Hamill. Swings on 3-0.
What a real good hitter's pitch right there on the 3-0 count. Those are the kind of swings that'll get you a take sign on 3-0. You have to show the discipline that you're only going to swing at a pitch you know you can drive hard.
Full count. Freight train can throw some more coal on that engine. He'll be off with a pitch at first. Peralta takes off. All 4. So 2 strikeouts to start the inning. Now 2 consecutive walks to continue it. And we'll get a look at Jake Lamb.
Third baseman, Jake Lamb.
Oh, Hamill, everything everything been down the center of the fairway. Suddenly he's shanking it into the woods.
He's pulling an Ernie Els on the green.
That's true. Good one. Ooh. Too soon. Jake Lamb flying out to center his first time. All one. Command's a funny thing. It comes and goes.
It really does. Occasionally we forget these guys are human beings and they can't always stay in that good groove every pitch, every outing. Occasionally it just leaves you.
Gotta take advantage when you get the opportunity. And Hamill right now cannot throw a strike. Only strikes he threw to Castillo were 2 foul balls. David Ross not liking what he sees, nor does Chris Bosio. Here comes the pitching coach.
Well, this is going to be close.
Yeah, he's not in any rush at all. The clock is ticking here, Chris. That's max speed right there. He's got it into turbo.
I think this is just to break up the rhythm. I don't think he really has any words of advice for Jason Hamill. Just wants him to step off the rubber for a minute, gather the infield together, take a deep breath, and start over again.
He struck out Brito. He struck out Goldschmidt. Walked Peralta. Walked Castillo. Now he's behind on Lamb 2-0.
Hamill missed the strike zone only 12 times in the first 3 innings of this game. He's thrown 13 balls in this inning already.
Well, the talk worked. There's a strike, 2-1. And you got to throw strikes to it. Now patient Jake Lamb, who walked 14 times during the Cactus League season. Sky high pop up. Very shallow right center. Zobrist drifting out there, and he's got it. And Hamill strands the 2-out walks. We are through 4. D-backs trail it 2-0. To stay up to date with the D-backs this year when they are at home and on the road, just check out Fox Sports Arizona's social media platforms on Facebook, the Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, with the social media. Exclusive videos, photos, interviews, game previews, analysis, interactions, the whole thing. You won't find it anywhere else. It's Fox Sports Arizona's social media platforms on the Twitter.
Keep your Twitter off my lawn.
Dexter Fowler, a single and a walk. Along those lines, sort of a hardline, old school thing. I noticed this was the anniversary of Frank Robinson. You're one of your former managers who, in that great mid-70s Cleveland Indians all-red head-to-toe uniform, hit a home run as the DH player manager for the Tribe.
And almost fell down running to first base.
Well, he was up there in years.
Oh, those uniforms were horrible. They looked like blood clots with shoes.
Those Charlie Spikes uniforms.
Yeah. Ooh.
I can't figure out if they were horrible or just really great. They're one or the other. Perspective over time changes, but bright red head to toe. Robbie just missed there. It's 2-2 now on Fowler. I got 8 who aren't afraid. Was that what he said?
Do I have 9 that ain't afraid? Yeah.
I don't know if he counted the pitcher. That's all.
Yeah, Frank would leave his office at Candlestick Park and head out to the dugout. And as he walked through the clubhouse, the players, last minute preparation.
That's a fair ball down the right field line. Peralta over to cut it off, and Fowler, who's been on base all season long, reaches safely for the 3rd time tonight. A single, a walk, and now a leadoff double.
Nice piece of hitting there. I know you don't like that saying, but that's the only way you can describe it. A professional hitter. Ball up and out over the plate. He kept his head right down the barrel of the bat and shot it down into that right field corner.
He has now reached base safely this season in 13 of his 18 plate appearances to start the year, and he's the leadoff man. Keep that in mind. He's at second with nobody out for Jason Hayward, who was struck out and walked. I mean, the idea is you're supposed to get on base if you're the leadoff guy, and boy, Fowler's on base every time he's up there.
That's 7 times in a row he's reached base.
Wow. Last night he was on base 4 times, had an RBI triple, an RBI single, 2 walks. He scored 2 runs.
Yeah, he did fly out to center field in the first and grounded to second in the second, but he was on base all night long after that.
Broken bat. Drop in front of Peralta. Will stop Fowler at third. David gets it back in there quickly. And the Cubs have runners on the corners with nobody out for the heart of the order coming up.
I'm sure it'll be frustrating for Cubs fans at Wrigley Field this year when they see Gary Jones throw up that stop sign at third base in situations like this. But when you look at the hitters making their way to the plate, you don't want to run into any outs at home.
Getting a guy thrown out at the plate ahead of Zobrist and Rizzo and Bryant, that's not what you're looking for.
That's a no-no.
Wellington Castillo trying to get Robbie Ray through this. Robbie had a rough 3rd. He walked 4 batters in the 3rd inning, including 1 for a run. Worked around a 1-out single and a hit batter in the 4th. And now the first 2 in the 5th have reached base. Zobrist so far 0 for 2. He does have an RBI. Zobrist, switch hitter for his career, better from the right-hand side, about 290. But most of his power comes as a left-hand hitter. Ball 1. Career platoon splits for Ben Zobrist, or Zorilla as he's known. One of the most highly sought after free agents this winter. Even at the age of 34, he'll be 35 next month. Squares to bunt, pulls back, but that's a strike. 1-1. Dexter Fowler is at third. Jason Hayward at first.
Well, that safety squeeze has really become a weapon again in the game of baseball for the guys that are able to do it. Runners on first and third. The idea, you don't want to hit into a double play right here. You bunt that ball safely on the ground somewhere. Dexter Fowler can read it at third base. He can come on down the line and score. If not, he just holds his ground.
Robbie misses away. 2 balls and 1 strike. This is where even when he was in hitters counts all spring long, Robbie would have the conviction to throw that changeup or throw that slider in a hitter's count and get a swing and miss strike to get back even. Comes with a heat, gets the strike, 2-2.
ZOBRIST checking with home plate umpire Gary Cedarstrom, asking if that was a strike. And umpire tell me one time, yeah, you swung at it.
That really wasn't the point.
That's not what I was asking.
Robbie Ray sticks with that fastball and punches out ZOBRIST. Third strikeout for Robbie, 1 down.
Extra giddy up on that one, blows away Ben ZOBRIST, which now sets up the possibility of a double play to escape this inning.
But this is the Robbie Ray they saw last year. The guy that was pretty much a fastball pitcher all the time. Anthony Rizzo so far 0 for 2. Of course, Rizzo had that big game last night, tied a career high with 6 RBIs. In fact, Rizzo, who leads the major leagues with 9 RBIs, is the first player in Cubs history with 9 RBIs through the team's first 3 games of the year.
It's pretty amazing when you think about some of the great hitters that the Cubs have had over the years.
Ernie Banks, Billy Williams, take your pick. Ryan Sandberg. And lefties are not an issue for this guy. That's in there, 1-1. Haven't seen Robbie go to some of that off-speed stuff or the breaking stuff in hitters' counts, which has been a big difference maker for him. It's been all fastball here when he gets into trouble. And that was sort of the crutch he leaned on last year. He's got a very good fastball. Electric is how Chip Hale describes it. There it was right there. Gets a ground ball. And they got Fowler hung up. Too far off the bag, and they've got him. It's a double play. Anthony Rizzo caught spectating down there on the Fowler rundown, and the Diamondbacks get a gift double play.
offensive momentum here. What a play. Ground ball to Paul Goldschmidt at first. He goes home. The ensuing rundown takes a little bit longer than you would like, but in the process, David Peralta sneaks in from right field. Anthony Rizzo took too big of a turnaround first base. Peralta is right there. We said it last night. Just because the ball's not hit to you doesn't mean you don't have something to do on every play. Heads up, David.
How about that? We saw Gene Segura race over from second base to third to cover an empty bag last night. Now Peralta runs in from right field to get the out at first, and as Tomas leads off the fifth. We think about what Chip Hale said after the game last night. He wondered maybe there's just too much stress, too much anxiety on these guys. Their minds aren't free enough to work, but they'll work on that. He wants his guys to breathe and let some of the tightness out, let some of the air out of the balloon here, relax, get that anxiety in the dugout or in the clubhouse out of there. And maybe, Bob, that's the one fluke play they needed to do that. Change the tone and tenor in one crazy moment. And you saw Chip when that play ended and we went to break it before the last half inning. He was standing there clapping. All right, that's what we wanted. That's what we need. Let's go.
You never know what the spark is going to be. You know, a lot of times offensively, guys put so much pressure on themselves to hit the big home run. I'm going to jumpstart the offense all by myself. Well, no, everybody do what you can do what the play calls for, and at the end of the day, you'll be all right.
Lamas, hard to short, right to Russell. One down for the pitcher, Robbie Ray. And it was good to see Robbie go to that slider to get that ground ball from Rizzo to start that crazy double play. Don't be so fastball reliant. Robbie struck out his first time up, batting 8th in Chip Hale's lineup tonight. You like Nick Ahmed batting 9th here?
Yeah, I do. I think he's kind of found a comfort zone there.
Robbie slaps it the other way, but Russell's there again.
Fans new this season is the D-backs Student Pass. The Student Pass is a program that sends ticket discounts and specials right to your mobile phone. All you have to do is text student to 76925. That's student to 76925, or log on to dbacks.com/student. Lots of students here tonight, Friday night.
School's out, at least for the weekend. Diamondbacks have just 2 base hits in the ball game, and they were on the first 2 batters of the game for Arizona. Segura doubled, Brito singled, and they have not had a base hit since. So with 2 down, here's Ahmed, who grounded out his first time up. So Nick, 6 hits in 16 at bats to start the year, including a double and a home run. Back in the 9th spot in the order tonight, where he had a lot of success in the Rockies series. Last night he hit 2nd in the lineup and went 0 for 4. Near the Cub dugout, Rizzo will have a look. It's not a play. David Ross and Rizzo joking back and forth. I had it all the way.
I thought so. It looked like that ball hit one of the guy wires that holds up the protective netting behind home plate and extends up to the upper deck.
What are the odds?
Just watching the trajectory, I thought Rizzo had a chance right at the railing of the dugout, but as the ball came down, all of a sudden it shot up into the stands. I think that's what Ross was laughing about.
It's a high wire act up there. 3-2 on Ahmed. Hamill has given up only 2 hits. He's walked 2, struck out 5. At one point he retired 10 straight. And looking for a 1-2-3 fifth. His third walk, he loses Ahmed. And here's Segura. Good at bat there by Nick.
Real good at bat that time.
Segura led off the ball game for the Diamondbacks with a double that was almost a home run. It's our Jimmy John's high-speed delivery right on the yellow line out there.
Yep. It's got to clear it completely. I mean, just picture that yellow line is the top of an imaginary fence. It's got to go over the yellow line to be considered a home run.
He has doubled and flied out 1 for 2. They throw it away. Ahmed going to take the turn and head for third as it rolls up the right field line, and he is out of there. Nick Ahmed aggressive with 2 outs. Adrian Johnson calls him out at third. And so Hamill, who threw the ball away, winds up getting out of the inning there.
Not a good attempt that time.
That's the end of the 5th. Diamondbacks trail the Cubs 2-0.
Representing Team Gonzalez.
Hey fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. The day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
6th inning, and the Cubs' Kris Bryant will lead it off. Nick Ahmed, a little too much hustle that time. Got thrown out at third to end the inning. D-backs still with just 2 base hits. They trail at 2-0. Bryant so far 0 for 2. It's Bryant, Soler, and Russell 5, 6, and 7 in the Chicago 6th against Robbie Ray. D-backs against Bryant. Big, powerful right-hand hitter overload the left-hand side. Segura, the second baseman, on the shortstop side of the bag. High fly ball, center field. It backs up Brito, but he's got room.
Bryant has hit about 800 feet of fly ball to center field, and a line drive to Jake Lamb at third has nothing to show for it.
He can get into one.
Got it out toward the end of the bat just a little bit. And he knew it.
Jorge Soler, who singled his last time up, 1 for 2. Soler had only 8 hits in the Cactus League all spring long, but 3 of those hits were home runs, so be careful. In there for Kyle Schwarber, who was lost for the season, it was determined today after an MRI showed 2 full ligament tears in his left knee and a badly sprained left ankle. So it's Soler in left. They brought up Munenori Kawasaki, the infielder for the minor leagues.
Yeah, Javier Baez was another option, but he got hit in the head in a rehab assignment the other day. Got hit by a pitch.
He can't stay healthy. They thought he might be their center fielder at one point. Had him playing center field all through winter ball. And they really don't have a spot for Soler. He's only 24. In fact, he just turned 24 in February. Big guy, 6'4", 215, a tremendous athlete. Don't really have a spot for Baez either, come to think of it. You can hear him thinking. 2-2. David Peralta. How often, if you're the manager, Bob, and you're looking at Joe Madden doing that, are you thinking backwards? Are you reverse engineering the ball game? Do you start from the back and work toward where you are at that point, or does it work the other way?
You do all of it. You talk about multitasking. Your head hurts, your jaws hurt by the end of the night, just looking at every possibility. Who do they have coming up next inning? Who do we have coming up in the next inning? Who do they have available in the bullpen? Where are we at in our batting order? Just every thought you can possibly imagine. And you'd like to try to sit in your office before the game and kind of script the game and look at every possibility that might come up during the course of the ball game. You can see all those notes he has on his card there. They all mean something to him, and you try to look for that advantage. If it's just one at bat or one defensive play, you're always looking to gain an advantage somehow.
Well, Chip Hale is doing the same thing. He's got his left-hander Andrew Chafin warming up quickly down in the Diamondback bullpen. Chafin threw 19 pitches last night. And if this inning should extend on Robbie Ray, you've got some switch hitters and some lefties coming up. You'd like to flip Fowler around to the right-hand side. Hayward bats left-handed. But before that, you've got Ross and then the pitcher spot. 1 and 2 on Russell. I guess that's a case for Chip of expecting the worst or anticipating the worst, because the only reason you would go to Chafin here is if this turned into a whole big Cub rally with 2 outs. Ahmed behind the bag, and got him! Nick Ahmed at it again. He is special down there at shortstop here in Arizona. It's a 1-2-3 6th inning. Nick Ahmed one more time. Now stream games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store and download the free Fox Sports Go app. Log in and stream the D-backs wherever you may be. Diamondbacks still with just 2 hits. A double and a single to lead off the ball game back in the first inning. They've not had a hit since the first. And Segura leads off the bottom of the 6th against Jason Hamill. ZOBRIST and rolls into right center. Segura's aboard.
Ball hit right at Ben ZOBRIST. Came up with the glove a little bit too much, snuck underneath.
They score that a base hit for Jean Segura, who has had 2 hits in every game this year. He doubled in the first, now a single to lead off the 6th. That'll bring up Socrates Brito, who has singled and struck out. Bryant will creep in from third, couple of steps in on the grass.
Well, probably about 1 more pitch out of the strike zone from getting some activity in that Cubs bullpen.
Tyler Clippard has started throwing for the Diamondbacks. Andrew Chafin has sat back down. Segura takes off, and he is in there. Second stolen base for Jean Segura. Segura injured his hand when he was in Milwaukee, or his thumb, I should say, sliding head first like that. He does this all the time, and he comes in so hard you worry about his fingers and hands and wrists.
Yeah, it really is a dangerous proposition. That left hand extended out there, fingers spread wide apart, able to stay on the bag that time.
Remember that inside the park home run last night? He went flying in head first at home plate like Superman. 2-0 on Brito. Hayward in right, and he runs it down. Segura tags, he'll head for third. Well, Brito barreled that one up, but Hayward has got 3 gold gloves out there, ran it down.
That was a nice swing right there, waited on that slow breaking ball. And then a line drive toward the gap in right center, but as you said, that's where fly balls go to die with Jason Hayward out there. But he does advance Jean Segura on to third base with only 1 out in the inning.
There are plenty of defensive metrics that will tell you that Jason Hayward is the best defensive outfielder in baseball, perhaps other than Kevin Kiermaier, the center fielder in Tampa Bay. So Segura at third, 1 out for Goldie. He was flied out and struck out 0 for 2. Base hit. D-backs on the board, 2-1. That's the 5th RBI this season for Paul Goldschmidt.
An ambush at bat right there. He'd been very patient in his first 2 trips to the plate. This time with a runner at third base, he doesn't waste any time. Picks on that first delivery and lines it into center.
2-1 ball game now, 4 hits apiece. David Peralta has hit into a double play and walked. Goldie the tying run.
Cubs were well aware of Paul Goldschmidt's base stealing ability, picking the right pitch, getting that walking lead over there at first base. They're going to make him work for it if he tries to steal second this time.
Goldie last year, 21 stolen bases. ground, playable for Bryant. Well, Wellington Castillo strolls up. We mentioned Frank Robinson and those great Cleveland Indians top to bottom red uniforms. And it was on this date, April 8, 1975, that Robinson, one of your former skippers, became the first black manager in Major League history. His debut as the player manager of the Cleveland Indians in that uniform, and he hit a home run in his first at bat as the DH. They beat the Yankees 5-3. That's a good look, man.
Yeah, that's a look.
Wellington Castillo. Castillo has struck out and walked 0 for 1. Well, Hamill's done a really nice job of mixing up his pitches tonight. Diamondbacks hitters seem very unsure of themselves up there.
Showed a lot of sliders in the early part of the ball game. Started to spot the fastball. Mixed in a few slow breaking pitches.
All right there. Nobody's really been on one tonight. He's got these hitters all off balance. Welly trying to think through here. All right, now what?
Well, we've seen him in these 2 strike counts go to the high fastball from time to time. He snuck one by Goldie earlier in the ball game. His bread and butter pitch is that slider away. I think if you were going to guess anything, you guess location on Hamills, and in this situation you probably look away. You've got a big hole on that right side of the infield. If he tries to throw that slider away, shoot it the other way.
Last year, Hamill's ground ball rate dropped to a career low, but the strikeout rate was a career high, and that was due in part mostly to that very good slider.
Here comes another one.
Bounced at that time. Goldie will stay put at first. Raw still can't find it. Well, he's doing the old duck and cover up there at home plate.
Well, he knows that feeling when the ball is somewhere in the vicinity, but you're not quite sure where it is. And you don't know whether Paul Goldschmidt is running at first base. So, well, he was going to get out of the way.
If I just crouch down here and get as low as possible, I won't be in the way. 2-2. Goldie takes off. Castillo fouls it off. Well, he threw over there a million times. They must have known something was up.
He's been slow with his delivery to home plate during the course of Wellington Castillo's at bat. His times have been consistently 1, 4, 5 and up. He's relying on David Ross, the quick, strong-arm catcher, to make up for any time behind the plate.
There is action in the Cub bullpen. A right-hander has started throwing. 2-2. It's Justin Grimm warming up for Chicago. Goldie takes off one more time. The throw from Ross. Not in time. He's in there. First stolen base of the year for Paul Goldschmidt. And the time runners in scoring position. The pitch was a ball, so the count on Castillo is full 3-2.
Short hops in there to Ben Zobrist. Fortunately, he was a little late getting that tag down, and Goldie hit the bag, came off the bag, but got the hand back on quickly enough.
2 outs, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Did he check? Nope, he did not. Gary Cederstrom says he went, and that's the strikeout. But the Diamondbacks get a run across. We are through 6. They trail it 2-1. Cubs 2-1. The Gig Live high-speed highlights brought to you by Cox. Robbie Ray had a rocky third inning. He walked 4 in the inning. But other than that, Bob, he pitched pretty well. 2 runs on 4 hits. He had 3 strikeouts.
I thought he was really good, with the exception of that third inning when things just seemed to leave him a little bit. Stuff was very crisp. Fastball had good life. Certainly a reason for optimism moving forward for Robbie Ray. Outstanding.
So Robbie Ray's night ends here. Our Arizona Federal Credit Union pitching change. It's the veteran right-hander Tyler Clippard on to work the 7th.
You may remember our keys to the game. Our key to the game tonight was don't be so accommodating. Don't allow so many walks, which unfortunately he did in that third inning. But don't give up as many foul balls. Tonight only 11 foul balls. Robbie Ray averaged over 20 foul balls per start last year.
David Ross will lead it off. He has walked and scored a run and lined out to center. Pitcher spot is up next, and Tommy La Stella is in the on-deck circle for Chicago. So it looks like Ross, La Stella, Fowler 8-9-1 in the Chicago 7th. Tyler Clippard, a 2-year $12.25 million free agent deal with the Diamondbacks, signed in February. He succeeds with essentially 2 pitches. He is a fastball changeup guy, keeps hitters off balance. And the Diamondbacks against the right-hand hitting Ross. Shade toward the left-hand side of the field.
I think this is more a byproduct of the pitches that Tyler Clippard throws than the fact that David Ross is a dead pull hitter. If you're going to throw a lot of straight changeups, pretty good chance Ross is going to pull it to the left side.
Tyler bounced one up there. Tyler Clippard said he's super excited to sign the free agent deal he got and to be where he's at here in Arizona. Said it couldn't have worked out better. Diamondbacks were a team he identified early in his free agency as a club that would have interest in him, and he and them. Took a little longer than he thought. In a slow-moving free agent market, but Tyler said the Diamondbacks proved this offseason they are taking the steps in the direction of becoming a championship organization, and that was obviously very high on his radar. He's liked a lot of what Dave Stewart has done here.
It was giving the Diamondbacks a real nice mix at the tail end of the ball game. You got Tyler Clippard, a fastball changeup pitcher, Daniel Hudson just firing BBs in there, and then Brad Ziegler, the submarine pitcher, to come in and close it.
And Clippard has got that very unique delivery as well. Comes at you from about as high over the top as you can, and then you've got Brad, who comes down from right down low around the grass. And Tyler reaches way back down low, right about there. Rears back and fires. That's out of play. And he's a self-described jack of all trades as far as a bullpen guy is concerned. He started out, he said, as a long reliever. Worked his way toward the back end of the bullpen, and then the last 3 or 4 years he worked the 8th and 9th innings. A lot of versatility here. Two and two. Called strike 3. Gary Cederstrom rings up Ross. 1 down.
Oh, a changeup right near the bottom of the strike zone.
Take it.
A lot of late movement there from Clippard. That ball was in the strike zone, but it just dipped out at the very end.
Well, here's the left-hand hitting Tommy La Stella, who bats for the pitcher Jason Hamill. La Stella 0 for 3 on the year. LaStella, pretty good contact guy up there. He's a disciplined hitter. He can work a walk. Two and 0. Last season made a big impression in spring training. Hit over 370 last spring after coming over from the Braves. Played in just 2 games with the Cubs last April and suffered a right oblique strain. That is a fair ball. It's in the right field corner. It just did stay fair. Peralta picks it up, and LaStella has a 1-out double. By the hair of his chinny chin chin.
LaStella extending his swing there, got fooled by the pitch. Went into a little bit of a crouch, tried to reach out there and get that pitch, and he's able to pull it down that right field line and keep it fair for a double.
He's at second with a 1-out, and now the order turns around. The leadoff man Dexter Fowler has reached base all 3 times he's been up. A single, a walk, and a double.
At the plate, center field, Dexter Fowler.
Fowler 18 plate appearances. He's reached base safely 13 times this year. Broken bat roller to Segura. LaStella gets third. Diamondbacks get the second out, and it'll be Hayward the hitter.
Hey fans, there are some must-have giveaways on the schedule this season, so make sure you get your tickets. On Saturday, April 23rd, fans will get the bobblehead of NL Gold Glove winner A.J. Pollock, courtesy of Arizona Sports 98.7. Then on Saturday, May 14th, fans will get a Star Wars soft style t-shirt, and over Memorial Day weekend, you don't want to miss it, we're giving away pool bags and barbecue aprons. See the full giveaway schedule online at dbacks.com.
I got to get one of those aprons for the wife. She was busy making cookies for the radio crew all night last night.
And they are good.
I noticed you dipped your hand in there.
You know, all the guys on the radio side, you've shamed them so badly they didn't want to jump into the cookies, but I had no shame whatsoever.
Well, I felt they deserved it. But the cookies are good.
Oh, Cindy did a great job.
Those guys over there, they're like a Cub Scout troop. You know, you got to keep them occupied. Give them treats once in a while. 0-1.
Ooh. What was that? Yes, it was just a little bit in. Wellington Castillo was not set up directly behind home plate. He had cheated in just a little bit on Jason Hayward.
Gary Cedarstrom, the crew chief, back there. A ball and a strike. LaStella at third, 2 outs. Diamondbacks in the home half of the 7th. We'll have Jake Lamb, Yasmani Tomas in the pitcher's spot, 6, 7, and 8. Against the new Cubs pitcher, Justin Grimm has been warming up down there in the bullpen. Ring him up and set him down. 2 strikeouts for Tyler Clippard, who works around the 1-out double. We stretch at Chase Field in a 2-1 ball game. They trail the Cubs 2-1. Fans, this week only T-Mobile customers get a free season-long subscription to MLB.TV Premium. Go to T-Mobile.com/MLB. Sign up now and catch every moment on America's fastest-growing LTE network. They are set for the home half of the 7th in a 2-1 ball game. And the new pitcher for the Chicago Cubs, the right-hander Justin Grimm, who had a very good year last year for Chicago. A career best 1.99 ERA in 62 appearances.
Big arm, average fastball last season sat right at 96 miles an hour. He threw his fastball 50% of the time. He threw his slider 50% of the time.
Flip a coin. Jake Lamb leads it off. Lamb, Tomas in the pitcher's spot. Jumps on the first one, but lines it right to Thunder. Let's go downstairs to Kate.
We talked about Yasmani's marked improvement when it comes to his pitch selection, and Chip attributes that to new hitting coach Dave Magdalen, who is fluent in Spanish, and he's been able to provide Yasmani with instant feedback. One of the things he's been working with him is on those predetermined swings you've talked a lot about, Bob. And he said he's trying to get him to slow it down at the plate. Now, Dave said when he steps to the plate right now, watch where he puts his bat and how fast he's moving his bat in his stance. If it's going fast, Magdalen said it's not going to be a pretty at-bat, but if he's able to slow things down, that's when he's able to take control at the plate.
He has struck out and grounded out. Can't hold up, and that's a strike. 1-1. .95. Justin Grimm will rack up some strikeouts on you last year. He was among the best National League relievers in terms of strikeouts per 9 innings. He struck out more than 12 guys for every 9 innings. Tomas checks there, and it's 2-2.
Guy throws in the upper 90s. You have to respect that and be ready to be extremely quick with your swing, but then he drops that slider in there in the mid 80s. Tough adjustment.
And Tomas strikes out for the 2nd time tonight. Phil Gosselin now will hit for the pitcher Tyler Clippard with 2 outs.
That has action like a really hard curveball, but he calls it a slider. A lot of downward movement there.
Phil Gosselin will take the at-bat with 2 down in the 7th. Phil 1 for 3 in the season so far after an excellent spring at the plate. Gosselin hit over 360 this spring, including 3 home runs. D-backs have just 4 hits. They had 2 hits in the 1st and 2 hits in the 6th. Daniel Hudson throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. Looks like Huddy will get the 8th inning. Gosselin trying to extend this 7th with Nick Ahmed on deck. A ball and 2 strikes. Ross will complete the strikeout as Grimm works a 1-2-3 7th with 2 punch-outs. To the 8th inning we go. It's a 2-1 ball game.
8th inning. Hey fans, we invite you to play Kachinko by signing up at one of the 16 interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Arizona Diamondbacks regular season home game.
New pitcher for the Diamondbacks, the right-hander Daniel Hudson. And he's got his work cut out for him here. Zobrist, Rizzo, Bryant, 2 up, 3, 4, and 5 with a Cub 8. Huddy, a very successful full season last year after 2 Tommy John surgeries, 64 appearances, 4 wins, 4 saves, and a 3.86 ERA.
One clean inning so far on the season in that Rockies series. He's throwing the ball extremely hard once again this year.
Huddy worked the game Tuesday, the win over Colorado. Through 11 pitches, worked 1 inning. And Zobrist leads it off. So far, he's 0 for 3.
Familiarity shouldn't be an issue for Daniel Hudson. Nobody in this Cubs lineup has had more than 1 at bat against him in their career.
You know, I was watching some of the game again this morning, and I was thinking about your stir and the cake batter thing with Zobrist, and I'm like, who does it remind me of? There's somebody, and it's not quite the full Crouch, but there's just a little bit of Pete Rose right here in Ben Zobrist. I mean, he's not nearly as hunched over as Pete, but he just sort of has that same vibe to him. Voucher to Segura.
I'm sure Ben Zobrist would take that as a major compliment. Yeah, Pete really hit out of an exaggerated crouch. And boy, did he hit.
You don't see a lot of guys crouch over like that anymore. Here's the numbers on Daniel Hudson from Tuesday, the win over Colorado. Anthony Rizzo, who last night had 6 RBIs, tonight has gone 0 for 3. Teams have really started shifting on Rizzo defensively, and here's another case in point. Swinging for the downs that time. If you look at the numbers in the spray charts, and even he admits this, he probably hasn't done enough to keep the defense honest. Because he says, look, if I hit it on the ground, it's going to go to the right side. That's just the way it is. And he says he's kind of over it. In fact, he doesn't get mad or upset when he hits one right into a shift. But he says he will bunt the ball if the defense gives him that. Now, there's no one anywhere near third base, and he insists that he can put one down.
Please do.
Yeah, I was going to say you sort of win the battle there if you're the other team, but you can see that's as close as anyone gets to third base. Nick Ahmed right there. Although I'm sure he won't be bunting here with 2 strikes. He did not go, Adrian Johnson.
Boy, that was a good location for that slider. It started in Rizzo's happy zone and then started dive bombing down and in. I guess he was able to check. You see how far he's choked up on the bat there. He saw that first fastball from Daniel Hudson in 95 and decided he better get a little farther up that bat handle.
See those hands and bat right out over the plate. 1-2 pitch.
A rare changeup from Daniel Hudson just to plant a seed in Anthony Rizzo's head, not only for this at bat and this game, but for future games against the Cubs.
Pedro Strop has started throwing in the Cub bullpen. He threw 17 pitches last night, worked 1 1/3. 2-2 to Rizzo. Coming in here. Ooh, thought he missed the spot big time. And you can see he's frustrated with himself right there. Castillo set up way inside right on Rizzo's hands, and that one was in the right-hand batter's box. So it's a full count, 3-2. Strike 3. Ring him up. and sit him down. He punches out Rizzo. 2 down in the 8th.
That's where Daniel wanted the pitch before that got away from him, up and away from Rizzo. That tailing 95-mile-an-hour heater.
That is a perfect location,
especially for a guy that stands right on top of the plate.
Just gorgeous. Well, still some work to do here. 2 down for Bryant, who's 0 for 3. Tell you what, the heart of the order: Zobrist, Rizzo, Bryant, all to this point hitless in the ballgame. Cubs only have 5 hits. Fowler has 2 of them. Hayward has 1. Soler has 1. Listella had the double. And there's the shift for Bryant we've seen throughout the ball game tonight. They overload the left-hand side. Goldie all by himself, midway between first and second.
Not only shifted around to the left side, but Nick Ahmed is standing out in the outfield grass, going very deep on that left side.
Well, as hard as Bryant can hit a baseball, he probably doesn't feel safe even there. Got in and broke his bat. Nick Ahmed wants it. And Daniel Hudson does a tremendous job. He gets Zobrist, Rizzo, and Bryant. Still a 2-1 ball game.
Jackson alongside Brandon Webb as we get set for D-Backs Live, presented by CenturyLink, our post-game show. And Brandon, what a job there by Daniel Hudson to the heart of the order. The pitching has been improved today, and it all began with Robbie Ray.
Most definitely. We're going to break down his outing tonight and how he was able to give the D-Backs their first quality start of the year.
Absolutely. We will also hear from the manager, Chip Hale, and a reaction from the players as well. It's all coming up in the post-game, guys.
Thank you, guys. Tremendous job by Daniel Hudson. Now here's the Cub bullpen. It's Pedro Strop who worked last night. He faced 4 batters and struck out 3 of them. He got Drury, Segura, and Goldie in 1 1/3 innings. And now Nick Ahmed is in there to lead off the Arizona 8th. So it's Ahmed, Segura, Brito, 9-1-2 for the Diamondbacks. Strop last night threw 17 pitches, 12 strikes.
I mentioned in the ball game last night, Strop will occasionally quick pitch. Come up to that set position and just glide right into his delivery. Good fastball, good slider. Bad hat.
He's got that Fernando Rodney thing going. Swinging butt. Strop is on it. And he just does get Ahmed at first.
That's a pretty nice defensive play by Strop coming off the mound the way he did, bare hands that ball, and maybe throws his best fastball of the last 2 days to Anthony Rizzo at first base to get Nick Ahmed.
Well, here's Gene Segura, who doubled in the first, singled, stole a base, and scored in the sixth. Segura, the first player in D-backs history with multiple hits in each of his first 5 games in a season. He has 2 hits in every game this year, which isn't bad if you're the leadoff guy. Cubs bullpen is busy. That's Trevor Cahill on the left there.
Travis Wood, the lefty, who pitched in the ball game last night as well.
Travis Wood, who threw only 10 pitches, worked 2/3 of an inning. 1-0 on Segura.
There's that quick pitch.
Brad Ziegler has started throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. We've already seen Clippard and Hudson. Just inside there, and Segura's ahead. 3 balls and no strikes with Brito on deck.
And Jason Hamill was just as likely to throw a slider as a fastball in a 3-1 count, or 3-0 count rather. Pedro Strope's going to throw nothing but gas when he's behind in the count.
Center field. Fowler drifting near the pool, and it one-hops the wall. Segura's flying into second, and he's the tying run with 1 out. His 3rd hit tonight, Gene Segura.
I guess we shouldn't be surprised by now, but Segura is showing surprising opposite field power. He has driven some balls out toward that pool in right center field. This one one-hops the wall. And he cruises into scoring position with 1 out in the inning for Socrates Brito.
He is 11 for 22 to start the season. He's the tying run, 1 away. Socrates Brito. Brito singled in the first, 1 for 3. That was the 5th hit tonight for the Diamondbacks, and Segura has 3 of them. Oh, 2. Stripling for the Dodgers, who got that 5th starter's job coming out of camp when they had so many injuries, is right now working on a no-hitter. Perfect game.
That's what we're told.
Dodgers lead the Giants 2-0 in the 8th inning at AT&T Park. Ross Stripling. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. 1-2 on Brito.
He does have 3 walks in the game, I'm told now. It's not a perfect game.
So it's a no-hitter for Ross Stripling. Maybe Buster Posey's good friend Hunter Pence will get a base hit. The great John Miller. One of the all-time calls yesterday in that game, San Francisco. Goldie with that back foot up against the railing. Diamondback Live, Brandon Webb, Joey Jackson follows our ball game, brought to you by CenturyLink. You'll hear from Chip Hale. 1-2 on Brito. Segura at second. Slow roller to third. Two down for Goldie. Paul Goldschmidt has flied out to center, struck out. He's got an RBI single. Chris Bosio now. Goldie struck out against Pedro Strop last night. entire Cub infield is on the pitcher's mound right now. Tying run is 90 feet away with 2 outs. I'm not sure anyone told Chris Bosio these things are timed now.
He's not in any hurry.
He just does the Lee Smith slow walk back and forth.
I can't play till I get off the field.
Got a point. So here we go. 2 down, Segura at third. Missed at 95, 1-0. Two balls and no strikes. Joe Madden has had his lefty Wood warming up in the bullpen. Peralta's on deck, first and second base for that matter open. But that would involve putting the go-ahead run on base if you lose Goldie here. 2-1. Strop won the battle last night. He struck out Goldie to open up the 8th inning. And they meet in the 8th here again tonight. 2 balls and a strike. Locked him up in there. 2-2.
That's a slider that didn't take the break, just kind of fluttered up there and stayed on the inside part of the plate. He must have been on the call because Goldie certainly checked.
For second, and he is out of there. And he's got a case. He wants a challenge. He signals immediately to the dugout. So hold the phone. Jim Wolf, the second base umpire. Chip Hale waiting for the word from Alan Campbell, the Diamondbacks video coordinator. But Goldie right away jumped up. Either way, we got a tie ball game. Let's see. I don't know what Goldie's so upset about. It looked like Russell had the glove there. And that's what Alan Campbell has seen as well. So that ends the inning. But Paul Goldschmidt comes up with a big 2-out RBI single. We are tied headed to the 9th.
Against Pedro Strop. Saw a couple of fastballs out of the zone to start the sequence, and then on the 2-0 count, Strop threw a slider. Goldie fouled it off. That slider stayed up, but gets the called strike, and then one more 95-mile-an-hour fastball right back at him. Well, that's that quick swing that Goldie features with 2 strikes. Rarely gets fooled by a breaking ball, or rarely gets a fastball thrown by him.
And then out at second to end the inning. Russell did indeed get the tag down. So here's the closer, Brad Ziegler, on at a 2-2 ball game to start the 9th inning. And Jorge Soler will lead it off for the Cubs. Brad last pitched Wednesday afternoon against the Rockies. Soler a single in the 4th. He's 1 for 3.
You know, not that Joe Madden has any patterns whatsoever, but I mentioned at the top of the show, Soler normally comes out of the ball game if the Cubs have a lead late.
Right to Segura at second.
Well, he stayed in today with a 2-1 lead, gets one more at bat in the ball game. And generally, he brings Matt Caesar, a much more accomplished defender, in the outfield late in the ball game if the Cubs have a lead.
Addison Russell now. Russell walked, was hit by a pitch, and grounded out in 3 plate appearances against Robbie Ray. There's a strike, 0-1. Keeping an eye on that Dodger-Giant game as well, where rookie Ross Stripling is throwing a no-hitter for the Dodgers in San Francisco. LA leads that game 2-0 in the 8th. See, Bob Brenly has mission control over on his side. All his devices set to keep an eye on that one for us.
I was having trouble jumping over to that Dodger game there. Mission control. We're having a problem, Houston.
With the technology. Didn't you? Wasn't it you who said, get your technology off my lawn?
Get your Twitter off my
That's
lawn.
it.
Yeah. Let's see.
Trying to get that sorted out over there. I think this will be our finest hour. Gene Kranz, 1-2. Segura drifting out. Very short right. He's got it 2 down. David Ross. He has walked, lined out to center, and struck out looking. Pitcher's spot is due up next, and former Diamondback great Miguel Montero is wandered out into the on-deck circle. Miggy had a rough night last night, 0 for 6. He ended 4 innings. But as you pointed out, Bobby, he was a tremendous team player for the Cubs, because somebody's got to make all those outs.
Otherwise, we'd play forever.
Saw Brad on Wednesday when the Diamondbacks were wearing their alternate uniforms with an all-black combo with the socks and the shoes. He's gone to the Broadway gel white shoes tonight. Sometimes it looks like he just toys with these guys.
Frisbee slider trying to lead Ross right out of the zone away.
2-2. There's the footwear. Nick Ahmed knocks it down. Ricardo spins and throws. What a play by Nick. Another Nick Ahmed gem off the heel of the glove. He spins around and finds it behind him. What a play. Field at a 2-2 ball game. The Diamondbacks and Cubs. Our Gila River game summary. Robbie Ray had a rough fourth inning. He walked, or third inning, pardon me. He walked 4. That's where the Cubs got their 2 runs. Diamondbacks have answered on a pair of Goldie RBI singles. And now David Peralta will lead off the bottom of the 9th against Cubs lefty Travis Wood, who worked the ball game last night through 10 pitches. And he came on with 1 out in the 8th inning and walked Peralta to lead off that appearance, but then struck out Castillo and got Lamb to fly out. And he'll work to Peralta, Castillo, and Lamb here in the Arizona 9th. David walked in the 4th. He is 0 for 2. Two doubles and an RBI triple last night. Robbie Ray, after that rocky third, settled in, did a good job. Went 6. Diamondback bullpen has been outstanding. Clifford, Hudson, Ziegler allowed only 1 hit. Peralta had 3-0. Well, Wood walked him last night. Diamondbacks looking for a base runner. And that's a strike, 3-1. Let's get that train on the tracks.
I hear you.
Russell.
Addison Russell is a max effort thrower across the diamond. Very accurate, very strong arm, but watch his head as he throws. He really jerks his head and his shoulders to the left as he uncorks that throw to Anthony Rizzo at first base.
Well, Wood, the lefty, came on, got his lefty out, and that's enough for Joe Madden. Wellington Castillo on his way up. We'll take a break. 2-2 ball game, bottom 9.
Six to 5 in the 9th inning. The New York Yankees are coming to town May 16th through the 18th. Guarantee the best seats for the lowest price when you buy a mini plan. Customize your own packet, include tickets to all 3 Yankee games. Visit dbacks.com.
Well, on for the Cubs here in the 9th inning. It's former Diamondback great Trevor Cahill, who signed with the Cubs on a minor league free agent deal last August and sort of rediscovered himself with the Cubs. Wellington Castillo. Cahill last year in 11 regular season appearances, all in relief, put up a 2.12 ERA and worked in their game Tuesday at Anaheim. Castillo has walked and struck out twice, 0 for 2. And really off to a slow start this year. He is 2 for 15 at the plate, a pair of singles. This is the mound on which Trevor Cahill struggled so desperately to sort of find his release point, arm slot. It was an ongoing battle until the battle finally ended.
I don't know if I've ever seen a pitcher have as many issues with his mechanics as Trevor Cahill did when he was a member of the Diamondbacks. Constantly searching for that release point and that arm slot that would allow him to throw that lead pipe sinker close to the strike zone and get the ground balls he should.
Full count, 3-2. Jake Lamb on deck. I wouldn't mind some beef Wellington right about now.
That sounds really good. Or leg of lamb.
That is into left field, a base hit for Castillo. It bounced right between Bryant and Russell, and the Diamondbacks have the winning run at first with a 1 out. And now do we get a pinch runner here? Yes, indeed we do. Here comes Chris Owings to run for Wellington Castillo. Well, he didn't want to come out.
Well, as soon as Wellington proves he can score from first base on a double, he'll let him stay in and run. But, Chris Owings, much better speed, much better base runner. Take your shot right here.
Well, the way Jake Lamb has been putting the barrel of the bat on the ball, anything in the gap probably wins the game with Owings at first. Jake Lamb 0 for 3. Jake 4 hits in 17 at bats to start the year. He has doubled and homered. He's knocked in 5.
Oh, by the way, Ross Stripling out of the ball game after throwing 7 1/3 innings of no-hit baseball.
Pitch count.
Pitch count. Walked 4.
Not bad for your first major league start.
Not bad at all.
Owings takes off. Lamb hits it to ZOBRIST. And he stay out of the double play at least. And now with 2 down, the winning run is at second. And he has Manny Tomas, who has struck out twice and grounded out, comes up.
Left field, that's Manny Tomas.
The hitting coach Dave Magadan trying to get Tomas to slow things down up there. 3 for 14 on the year. As Monty last night 0 for 4, he punched out twice. Hitless tonight in 3 at bats. Winning run at second base, 2 outs, bottom 9.
Slow breaking ball from Trevor Cahill. Looked like one of those predetermined swings we've talked about before.
Left field, Soler drops in front. Here comesCio. Here's the throw. He is in there. And the Diamondbacks win it. First career walk-off for Yasmani Tomas.
comes up with the game-winning hit, but so many big defensive plays in this game, so many pitches in key situations. Diamondbacks pitchers were able to execute. Just a nice, short, quick swing, little soft line drive in front of Jorge Soler out there in left field, who has a big arm, but his throw back to the infield pulls David Ross into the infield, giving Chris Owings enough time to score. I don't think Wellington Castillo would have.
I was just going to say, the move to pinch run for Welly paid off for Chip Hale. And the Diamondbacks are walk-off winners just before Friday night fireworks. And boy, did they need that one after the loss last night that Chip Hale said was embarrassing. He was looking for something to relieve the stress and the anxiety that his team was showing and feeling. They were tight last night. He just wanted them to be able to breathe and get rid of some of that tightness, some of that anxiety in the dugout and the clubhouse. And a nice comeback against a very good Cubs team. They were down 2-0. Goldie had an RBI single in the 6th, another in the 8th to tie it. And then Castillo, a one-out single, bottom 9, and Yasmani Tomas provides the walk-off winner. And the D-backs snap their little 2-game skid here. They get their 2nd win of the year. And let's go downstairs to Kate.
All right, guys. Well, as you can tell, the on-field celebration happening right now after that exciting victory for the Diamondbacks. Yasmani, take me through that final at-bat.
¿Cómo hiciste? ¿Cómo te preparaste para tu última vez a bate ahora?
Bueno, desde el inning anterior estaba en el jardín izquierdo, sabía que tenía que tener la oportunidad, ¿no?, de batear en el 9º inning, y se me dio y salí a hacer el trabajo.
Since the inning before, I was thinking in the left field when I was playing defense that, that maybe I'm going to have the opportunity to make decision in the last inning. So the opportunity gave it to me and execute well.
What does this victory mean to the Diamondbacks? You guys have had some trouble this week, but back in the win column.
Hemos tenido un momento difícil aquí, pero ¿cuán importante cree que haya sido esta victoria para los Diamondbacks?
Bueno, pienso que fue un partido luchado desde el principio, ¿no?
It was a great game, we fight from the beginning.
El equipo siguió batallando ahí al final y pegamos el juego y tuvimos una victoria. Pienso que es una victoria muy importante para el equipo.
That's a good win for us. We try to keep the game the closer we can, and we try to get on the 9th inning and do the best for the game.
All right, thank you very much. Congratulations on the victory. Go celebrate with your teammates. Jody, Brandon, as you can see, excitement out here on the field. A lot to talk about with this game. Let's go upstairs to you guys.
All right, thanks so much, Kate. Our coverage continues here with Diamondbacks Live, presented by CenturyLink, coming your way in moments. Brandon, so much to talk about. The quality start from Robbie Ray, but I know you're going to take a closer look, along with Bob Brenly, at some of those key at-bats against Trevor Cahill and Goldie's at-bats as well.
Yeah, they were able to put, when they got Hamels out of the game, the Cubs started, they were able to put some good at-bats together late in the game to scratch a couple across just enough to get the win tonight. It was a very nice job. All
right, so we'll take a look at all of that. Plus, of course, we always hear from manager Chip Hale. We'll get more reaction from inside the clubhouse. What a victory for the D-backs here tonight. First career walk-off hit for Yasmani Tomas. Think he's excited? Absolutely he is. D-backs win it by the score of 3-2. Brad Ziegler gets the win in this one. Plenty more coming your way when we come back. Brandon Webb, Bob Brenly will break it down. Kate Longworth with interviews from the clubhouse. Stay with us here on Fox Sports Arizona.